I was given the honor to introduce our next speaker, who is an accomplished professional with over 25 years of experience transforming technology and industry, and she really cares about fostering knowledge and growth. So I am very honored to introduce Dr. Judi Spaletto.
I have my slides. Is this to advance them? Okay. Good morning. I'm going to keep my tea because I had a cough, so hopefully I don't start coughing in the middle of my talk here. So hopefully the title was catchy. I've been on a journey for about the last 3 years, reviving a program that was failing, which I didn't want to put failure up there. So, so reviving the program. So a little bit of background. I've been working with data for the past 30 years or so, many different aspects of it. And I'm also an adjunct professor at a local university. I'm from Chicago. So I teach students about the value of data, how to actually use it, and how to communicate, because that's really important when you're working with data. So my introduction, Timur said about the introduction. I guess an important thing to note is that I lead the digital literacy program for KPMG Advisory. That's about 14,000 professionals. And their knowledge level goes anywhere from entry level, so we hire a lot of college students, all the way up to partners that have been with the firm for many, many years. So what is it that they need to know from the entry level all the way up through the level of being able to talk to our clients about all of the things that we can do with data. So if you look at what data literacy is defined as, is that you're able to read, write, and communicate with data. So being able to communicate with it is key. So literacy, and why do we do this? You know, we have data everywhere, and in not only our work lives, our academic lives, but also in our professional lives. So we're able to make better decisions if we're using data and the data that we have available to us. So what happened with me in like the 2019 time frame, my predecessor developed a program for the advisory professionals, and it was very much like a college term. It was very prescriptive. It had a list of courses that our professionals would take, and it was meant for all levels. So kind of setting the foundational knowledge. That program consisted of 4 levels. The first level was mandatory for all professionals, so 14,000 professionals, everyone needed to take it, and we had great success. It was mandatory. You can see where I'm going with this, right? So the next level, not mandatory, optional, again, very prescriptive, and we had, so I stepped into the role as the program was in effect for about 6 months. And I started looking at numbers, because I'm a numbers person, I like to look at data. And I started tracking the participation and the completion rates for the level 2, 3, and 4. They were dismal. After about a year, we had about 40 people out of 14,000 complete level 2. So kind of took a look at it and thought, you know what, we need to change things around a bit. So looking at, not being able to, we did have leadership support though, which was a good thing, because you need to have leadership support in order to make anything like this successful. So trying to understand, what was really the root cause of why we were getting such low participation. So we get our professionals telling us, we're really busy. Our focus is client work, which is absolutely true, but you can't really be effective with client work if you don't know how to deliver with all of the things that you need to, to know to have successful client deliverables. So, so we had leadership support, and the way that our organization is structured is that we have about 35 different departments in advisory. We call them service networks. And each service network has a different service offering. So their needs for learning this topic are different. So we needed to create a program that actually serviced their needs. So we took a look at the curriculum. Did we need to actually align better to the business and what they needed to know for their client deliverables? Maybe changing some of the options that they had available to them. So maybe it wasn't all just self-paced, on-demand, third-party learning content. Maybe there were some other options that we could do. We have a facility in Florida, in Orlando, and it's a training and meeting facility. So we started to create some classes there, so a little bit more face-to-face. And then some other options. We call them virtual local office trainings, but it really is, having a virtual instructor-led session. And then we started looking at, well, maybe we could give them some recognition for completing things. So a badging program or certifications that would help them actually get staffed on certain engagements because they would be recognized for the skills that they were developing. We used a different platform to be able to deliver the technology, so it was a little bit more engaging. It's called an LMX instead of an LMS, so a learner management experience platform. So they liked that because it kind of took them on a journey as they were going through and learning courses. And then we gave them some options to do other things too. And what was key was tracking and measuring all of it. So as I continued to look at it, I could tell, participation rates, what was the things that they were more interested in than others. So we looked at what the business needed. We looked at, and hold on a second, because I think I'm going to start coughing. Bear with me. We looked at what the business needed and how our busy professionals could fit this into their day-to-day. So creating a plan and then working with the department heads or the service network heads, some of them making some of the training mandatory. I'm going to take another sip. Excuse me. And others, requiring certifications. You can imagine in a professional services firm, that's what we sell, is our capabilities. So having discussions on timelines, is there certain timing that we could have them complete this by? So developing a program that now consists of, remember I said that the first program consisted of 4 levels, very prescriptive. And the new program has 57 different learning paths. There's about 190 courses that make up those 57 learning paths. And our professionals can do one of 2 things. They can mix and match and choose from many of the different topic areas that we have available. And that kind of gives them maybe some knowledge of wide but not necessarily deep. Or they can take one specific topic area from a beginner level all the way down to an advanced level and then go on for a certification. So we started to make the program a lot more flexible in giving them what they needed to actually develop their skills. So Remember I said that we had about 40-some people complete level 2 when I first stepped into this program. My tracking report, I issue a progress report every month for leadership, and last month we had 7,800 learning paths completed, and the program has been in effect. We actually launched it a year ago in July, so big difference from 43 to over 7,000 completions. And we keep adding more things, more options for them to take the learning. So I think that, we learned a lot through this journey. I have a great team that is capable of doing all of the things around delivering this learning into the new learning experience platform, being able to create badges and certifications, and then track all of that. But our action plan was, step by step. It took us about 6 months in order to redesign, kind of tear down the old one. And it's interesting because we still get people that refer to the old program. They're like, oh, we want to learn more about level 2. It's like, well, we don't really have level 2 anymore, but let us show you what we do have now. Much more beneficial to you, better way to spend your time. So that's kind of, the journey that I've been on. I'm happy to take any questions. I think that a couple things that, I would note here is that you do need to make sure that you have both your customers, whether they're internal or external, that you understand what they need and get their feedback. And then the other thing that's been key for me is tracking and reporting on things. So knowing when something is not working great and being able to course correct.
You mentioned that one of the barriers was time, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious, how did you get around that issue, if you did? Or what are the steps that you took?
Really good question. So remember I said that the original program was this very prescriptive, you start it and you take about 10 or 12 courses. So very short videos that they can consume. It could be a 2-minute video. It could be, a 3-minute video. It could be a short article that they read. The learning path was much more varied, and it allowed people to take it in a much smaller time frame. So they didn't need an hour commitment to watch an hour-long video. They were watching, really short ones along the way. Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
14,000 students, so to speak,
Yeah.
is a pretty big population.
At various levels of knowledge.
Can you talk a little bit about the resources needed to support the program in terms of the amount of editorial that you're producing, the platform needed to sort of support the different paths? Just what's the effort like? Thank you.
Another good question. I have a team of 15. And at some point, my team went down to about 12, and then I was able to get it back up to 15. But I do have people in place that are responsible for the curriculum. So working with all of our stakeholders and the service networks that I talked about. So one person that's responsible for the curriculum. I have another person that's responsible for the experience. So making sure that they're creating all the learning paths and then deploying them into the different formats that we have them available. And then I've got somebody that, manages our web pages, our portal for all the information. I've got somebody that helps me with all the reporting that we do. So, yeah, it takes a team.
Hi.
Hi.
Hopefully it's on. I wanted to find out, are you able to also do any tracking of impact on their job performance? Not just sort of completion of the courses, but post?
Yeah, proficiency, right? Proficiency growth or development.
Yeah, maybe 3 months out, 6 months out.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that I was able to track was I was working on the Power BI, enablement. This was before I took over this digital literacy program. And the Power BI enablement, we were able to actually track who was taking learning, and then we were able to track who was actually using Power BI, because we had it in a cloud environment. So we could track, who had licenses, who was actually, we were tracking features and functions that they were using. But then we started to track that the clients that were actually logging in and accessing the deliverables that were created for them. So that was the only thing that I was able to do as far as showing proficiency, because we go from learning all the way to actually clients consuming deliverables that have been created for them. And last month, again, the report that I just had, we had 8,300 clients that were, or client emails, I should say. There may be multiple people at one client that were accessing the dashboard, but yeah.
And you also tracked, I think you said this, but just to make sure, you tracked actually essentially the click stream of your users using Power BI?
We did, yeah, or we are. So, like I said, I'm a numbers person. I've been working with data for a long time. I love tracking stuff. And it really does show, are you creating any value? Is there learning that's going on? So, yes.
Hi, I think you answered my first question, which was who developed the 190 courses, and you've answered that, and I understand that are they all micro-learning courses?
Not all of them.
Okay.
We use 5 different sources, so depending on the topic area. So we use sources like, there's a source called Cubicle with a K, and they focus on professional services and financial services. So everything is CPE eligible. That's another draw for our learners, is because everybody needs CPEs, all of our client-facing professionals. So everything in our program is CPE eligible.
And in terms of awarding the badges, is it based on completion, or is there an assessment that's given at the pre-post or the end of a course? Or
It's not just completing a course. We didn't want to give badges and certifications just for completing a course. So we have to have some kind of a evidence that they've applied it, and whether they've in data visualization they've created a dashboard, or in data management they've used Alteryx for some type of workflow creation or.
so do you have staff then that looks at that evidence and assesses it?
We do, yeah. Am I done? Okay.
Yes, yeah, great discussion, but yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.